right, thank you for joining me for the Michael Tobin Show again for part 2, titled America's Macro and Micro Aggressors. It's actually part 1B, secular. And it is 2:23 a.m. Pacific time. Took me almost 2 hours of production time to get ready for this broadcast for my 15-minute allotted time. And so it's 2:23 a.m. Pacific time, April 16th, 2017. And it is 5:23 a.m. Eastern time, so you guys are probably just getting up about right now, pretty much at the earliest. And for a recap of part 1A, or part 1 as it says in the title, you need to listen to it. And this is part 1B, and there will be also a part 2, and that's going to be spiritual world changers. But I'm titling this America's Macro and Micro Aggressors because the macro means the big picture. Micro means, according to the definition, small picture. And a little bit backtracking towards part 1, I mentioned the micro because at one point, the macro aggressors, and it's kind of a pun on words on what a macro or a micro aggressor means. The term came from 1970. It's a psychology term. And go ahead and listen to part 1 for that. But I'm placing the macro aggressors as our founding fathers of the United States. They looked at the big picture, and ever since then, there has been a whole bunch of micro aggressors that have become known as world changers, literally. And it's all those micro aggressors that has come against what the macro plan was. And when you read the definition of what a microaggressor is, it's termed as a kind of a negative thing. When somebody says things that causes somebody to be insulted or to be offended because they're being ostracized or condescended to. So you have to watch so much, and we know it now today is politically correct. You got to be careful of what you say and everything. So I am turning the phrase around as a microaggressor. Well, just who are the microaggressors? No matter what side of any kind of situation or belief that you're on, anybody could be a microaggressor to each other. But you have to listen to part 1 for that. So before going on, I want to start this out with just a small statement that, and this will have to do with what's coming forward, because I want to name some names and ages of micro and macro aggressors, starting from our founding fathers up until now. But President John Quincy Adams was John Adams' son. John Adams was the second, and John Quincy Adams was the 6th president of the United States. And actually, John Adams, he was 30 years younger than George Washington, which was the first president of the United States. So John Quincy Adams So President John Adams signed the Treaty of Tripoli, which is in the same country that Benghazi is in, Libya. Signed the Treaty of Tripoli, which is known as kind of an outreach to Muslims back then. The government, the Arabic version of that treaty read, "The government of the United States of America is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion." That was ratified by the United States without debate unanimously in 1797. This statement was about the U.S. government not being founded under the Christian religion. It was written in the Arabic version, but not translated into the English or American version. Had it been translated correctly in the American translated text, the Musselmen, as they were known, Muslims were known back then, would not have made the deal to quit making slaves of Americans. So there was trickery back then, and there is trickery now. So now, going forward to the rest of Part 1B. To lighten up the subject a little bit, I want to begin with what is going on right now. Actually, this very moment, within the past couple of days, I want to play for you a perfect example of what is going on right now in this world and the United States. And it is a clip from a show that actor and comedian Tim Allen is a star in. He has 3 children. His oldest is kind of sort of like a Tyra Banks version of another version of a Tyra Banks from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Real prissy, stylish, and kind of flighty. And then the middle child is got the so-called normal feminine qualities. She just goes along with the show. And then the youngest daughter of the 3 is like a tomboy, and she really appreciates Dad's conservative viewpoints as opposed to liberal. And we kind of categorize how your world view is, being either liberal or conservative. Well, this is a conservative point of view, and but it's called The Last Man Standing, and that's a topic of discussion right now. Controversial topic of discussion because the ABC network has discontinued the show, much to the dismay of a lot of the fans. So I want to play with you a very perfect portrait of what's going on in the United States with this clip from a TV show, and then I want to give you some other examples, and then I want to give you a list of so many world changers, and then go ahead and conclude this. And then part 2 is going to be spiritual or world changers. These are the secular world changers, but go ahead and enjoy this short 3-minute clip.
Do you want me to give you some notes before you send it in?
Why, send it in? What do you mean?
The faculty committee needs to approve it after they check for microaggressions.
Microaggressions? You mean like midget warriors?
No, they're objectionable words or phrases. For instance, midget warriors.
I know what microaggressions are. It's the latest liberal attack at free speech. And a lot of fun if you do them right.
The university has a list of stuff they don't allow speakers to say, to protect the students.
From what, ideas?
It's just the way that my school does things, Dad. Please, my grade is riding on this.
Fine. All right. Just pretend like you introduced me to thunderous applause. Some lady faints in the front row. Ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, stop.
No, they'll pick her up. Come on, EMS. Get her out of here.
No, you can't say ladies and gentlemen because it excludes those who don't identify as either.
those are the only two choices.
No, not anymore. You just have to keep it gender neutral. Okay, please continue.
Hey, everybody. America's the land of opportunity. I stand before you as...
Stop. Okay, by saying that America is the land of opportunity, you are implying that everyone has the same opportunities.
I'm not implying it, I'm saying it. If you live here and you work hard, you can succeed. That's how this works.
Yeah, that was on here too. It hurts the feelings of those who work hard and don't succeed.
Where's the list of stuff that doesn't hurt people's feelings? That's got to be a short one.
You have no idea how seriously my school takes this stuff, Dad. And remember the greater good here. You're helping me scam my way to passing ethics.
This list is insane. If I go by these rules, I'll be going against everything I believe in.
I know, but just for 15 minutes. Thank you, Dad.
No. Can't call me Dad. What if I identify as Mom? Hey, babe?
Yeah, hey.
In a sec, I want to run the rewrite of my speech by you.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait to hear what the new PC Mike Baxter has to say.
Well, it sounds a lot like the old Mike Baxter, but drunk in a locker room. But I'll tell you, Mandy's list was a good blueprint.
You mean of what not to say?
Oh, no, I got them all in there. So... All right, okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and all of you on the fence.
Oh, God.
To quote future Nobel Prize winner Lee Greenwood, I'm proud to be an American. Not just because I have the right to speak my mind or carry an awesome gun, but because it's the land of opportunity. Some whiny babies might not think so, but in America, if you work hard, anyone can be successful. Anyone. That goes on and on. Keep doing it.
You cannot give that speech. You cannot. You're going to cause Mandy a lot of trouble.
With a thought police who have their panties in a bunch, and that's in there.
The thought police are never going to approve that speech.
You know who else would approve the speech they want me to give? Me. And God, who I'm also not allowed to mention, but I do.
Okay, you hear that? That's pretty awesome. But anyways, folks, feel free to download these episodes and revisit my my show often, okay? And share it. So now, going into the conclusion, I read yesterday, that Bernie Sanders quote, he said, "If there was ever a time in history for a generation to be bold and to think big, to stand up and to fight back, now is that time." Now you got to consider the source of this quote. This man is a known and professed socialist, and frankly, he is a perfect picture of how the mind in the United States has digressed. Had this man said something like this back in the days when paper is precious, he would have been known as a stark, raving, mad lunatic, because paper was so precious, printing was so precious back then, that you only wrote about the things that really mattered. But now, because of the press is so cheap and internet is free to some people, that people say anything that is on their mind just for kicks. So this is what we are being bombarded and lambasted with today, is a whole bunch of nonsense that people really have no value with. They don't save what they want to share as being the most important stuff. They just say anything on their mind, and it's just for kicks. So this is how we have digressed in this world and in this nation since our founding fathers, who created our Declaration of Independence and our constitutional government, which I call the Macro Aggressors, our founding fathers. Onward. A black nuclear scientist wins Miss USA, and she causes an internet meltdown. And this is the headline. What she said was that healthcare is not a right, it is a privilege. So you go ahead and take that as how you will, but that really did cause a meltdown because of who she was and what she said. I wrote, and I want to tell you that Jesus is the macroaggression He is the macroaggression, as it says in 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 6 through 10, which I read in part 2. But I want to go forward, and I want to start reading some names. And you know what? I'm out of time. I'm going to read the names in part 2. It's going to include spiritual micro and macro aggressors, as well as the conclusion of part 1 and 1B, with all these humongous names that I want to compare the ages and how they compare to people nowadays. Please stay with me until tomorrow, okay? Sometime in the afternoon, before the afternoon.